Hey guys, it's Kaylee. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a reseller of clothing that I find on thrift stores and I sell them on sites like eBay and Poshmark. I also make videos about my selling experience and I try to give tips every week on what you can do to make your business succeed and make more money. Today's video is going to be about Poshmark and I'm going to give you 5 actionable tips that you can start doing today to increase your sales on Poshmark. Now, some of these tips might not be actionable for you. It really depends on your business and your situation. But if you can even apply one of these tips, I promise you that you are going to start seeing more frequent sales. So tip number 1 is to get more variety in your Poshmark closet. If you are only selling women's items, you are probably never going to have a guy who doesn't purchase women's clothing ever coming to your closet and looking through your items, following you, getting a sense of who you are, or knowing anything about your business. But if you even have just one men's item in your store, you might gather some male attention that might go onto your closet and see the other items that you have, maybe want to buy something for themselves or gifts for other people if they're seeing the women's clothing that you sell. So Poshmark has quite a few different categories, and if you can hit all of them, you're going to see so many more views in your closet and ultimately get more sales. So currently Poshmark has quite a few categories, but some off the top of my head that you might not be aware of are obviously clothing, that's in men's, women's, and kids. The home category, you can sell home decor, and there's quite a few things that you can sell on there, including blankets and pillows, jewelry, makeup. There's a bunch of different things that you could be putting in your store to gather more attention, draw more eyes to your store, get people into your closet, and ultimately see more of your items. One of the most skipped over categories that I see most people passing over, and it's really a huge opportunity to get more people into your closet and get more views, is plus size clothing. So women's plus size clothing is a huge category on Poshmark, and not enough people are buying or sometimes even finding plus size clothing. I will pick up a plus size piece, even if I don't think it's going to sell for a lot, just because I know it's going to bring more attention to my store and bring a different kind of buyer. And even if I only have a couple plus size items in my store, maybe when they come over to my closet, they're going to be able to see my jewelry, some of my home goods, some of the other things that maybe they weren't thinking about purchasing, but might make an impulse buy because they came to my closet for that plus size piece. And then just ultimately, I love being all size inclusive and being a one-stop shop for somebody. So if you're currently skipping on the plus size category in the women's clothing section, make sure that you get a couple pieces into your closet because that will make a big difference on views in your closet. Number 2 is sharing during peak times. So a lot of us hopefully are sharing more than once a day if you're wanting to make consistent sales. I do think that that's something that you absolutely have to do. You have to share your closet more than once a day, and depending on how many items you have in your store, it could be really, really time consuming. So with the time that you do have, you want to make sure that you are sharing during optimal peak times when buyers are more likely to be on the app. I do have a video on sharing and I'll link it somewhere up here in case you're interested, and I do believe in that video I mention what I consider to be the peak times for sharing. But ultimately, you want to be thinking about when people are at work, when they're on their lunch break, when they get off of work, when are they more likely to be shopping on the app. I find that one of the most popular times when people are shopping are actually in the really late hours of the night. So like 9 p.m. and on all the way up to like 1 or 2 in the morning seems to be a really popular time for people buying items on Poshmark. And that's probably because they are lying in bed, winding down on their phones, getting ready to go to sleep, and a lot of people just shop during that time. So if you have the capability to choose when you are going to do your sharing, make sure you're doing your sharing during the peak optimal times when people are more likely to be on the app. That way you can get more views, capture a bigger audience, and optimally make more sales. If you're somebody who has like zero time to share, you could also use a sharing service. I personally use one, and I've got the link down below if you're interested in that. But basically, you can pay somebody to share your entire closet for you. And most of the people that offer these services are doing them at peak time. So it's not really something you have to worry about. And I don't share anything anymore. I have somebody do it for me during those peak times, and it has made a huge difference and completely paid off. The amount of money I pay to have a sharing service has completely been surpassed by my sales from having my closet shared so many times. So that's an option for you if you're not able to share on a schedule. Tip number 3 is to clear your photos. So I feel like we've all been guilty of this on Poshmark, because Poshmark is such a, they want you to be an aesthetically pleasing kind of seller, meaning that they want you to put cutesy little things in your listing like plants or fuzzy rugs, things like that. And I definitely know that I have been guilty of that in the past when I started reselling on actually every platform. But ultimately, research shows that a clean white background, one where you can solely just focus on the item that you're trying to sell, is the best way to sell a product. You don't want your buyer to become distracted with all the different decor that you have surrounding your item or behind it. And also, let's say you're selling a shirt and you're styling it with, you know, jeans and shoes, and you're doing a flat lay with all those things, but you're only selling the shirt. That actually becomes really confusing to the buyer, although it may look pretty initially. So clearing your photos can be super beneficial to making more sales on Poshmark. Like I said, having a clear white plain background with nothing but the item showing is proven to be the best way to make a sale on all selling platforms. It's also Google friendly, so Google says if you've got a plain white background, you're way more likely to show up in search results on Google, which is a good thing if people just go type in Nike sweatpants on Google. You know, all the sites that sell Nike sweatpants are probably going to pop up if they go to the shopping tab, but yours might pop up. But you want to make sure that you have a clean white background. They specifically say that they're looking for that. And all in all, let's just face it, it's going to take you less time to take photos if you have a clear plain white background, because you're not fumbling around with all the props that you've got in your photo, and you're not focused on flat laying something, constantly rearranging and trying to make it look pretty. You're just basically going to put up more items because you're going to be able to take photos way more quickly. So I think that a clear plain white background is a win-win in all areas of reselling. Number 4 is if you're currently not adding measurements to all of your listings, I highly suggest doing this. Even if you don't want to go back and take measurements of all the listings you've previously put up, you could just start doing it from here on out. So there's multiple reasons for putting measurements in your listing. One is to create buyer confidence in buying the item. And then number 2 would be so that you don't have to go and constantly answer questions from people and go back and forth between grabbing the item and measuring, when you could have already had that information in there to begin with. So this is going to save you time by already have the measurements in there. And let's face it, it's probably going to take you like 5 seconds to do 2 measurements on an item when you've already got the item that you're looking at while you're currently listing. So do it while you list, see if you can add it to your listing routine from here on out, and I guarantee you're going to make more sales. As far as buyer confidence goes, people are way more likely to just go ahead and purchase an item if you've got all the information there. They're looking for something, they probably got a checkbox full of things. They want an American Eagle top, check, I got the brand. They want it to be black with ruffles, check, I've got that. Now I need to make sure that it's actually going to fit me, so I need to know that the pit to pit measurement is this many inches and the length is this many inches. Check, check if you've got your measurements in. If you don't have your measurements in, the buyer is either going to stop because they feel uncomfortable messaging you and waiting for your response, and they might just move on to another listing that does have that information in there. And let's face it, a lot of people shop online because they don't want to go out and talk to other people. So they may not even want to engage with another person, and that's why they're on the app to begin with. So the less questions they have to seek out from you, the better. Put it all in your listing, take a couple seconds while you already have the item in hand and you are making your listing, and add those measurements into your routine. And number 5 is being quicker about answering questions. And this kind of goes along the same line of the measurements. You know, once a buyer has a reason to not want to get that item, if they have to take an additional step, they are more likely to go find a different item from another seller who'd answered all of their questions. And this goes along the same line. So if you're taking forever to answer questions, and I know that I've been guilty of this. I get really busy sometimes, and sometimes it takes me 24 hours to answer a question, sometimes a little longer, but I really try to do it within the same day that a customer has asked me, and I found that that's been really successful in capturing the buyer and not losing a sale. So the quicker that you can answer your buyer's question, the more likely they are to say, okay, yep, you've hit all those check boxes, I'm gonna go ahead and purchase the item. So as soon as you possibly can, answer those questions for your buyer. All right, guys, so those were 5 tips that you can do today to help boost your eBay sales. So if you're not already doing those 5 things, if you can only do one of them, I'm telling you, they're gonna make a huge difference in your Poshmark closet. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what your actionable tip is for boosting sales. Is there something that has worked with you within the last month? Let me know. I'd love to use some of your tips down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.